Radio personality Charlemagne the God has said Nick Cannon's firing from ViacomCBS has proved Jews have the power, after the actor was terminated from the network on Tuesday for making anti-Semitic comments. The Breakfast Club host weighed in on the controversy on the morning radio show after Cannon was accused of spreading anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, and said white people were evil and true savages on his podcast. Nick is my guy. I hate it had to be him, but that's what you can do when you have the power, Charlemagne said on Wednesday. And if there's one thing Jewish people have showed us, it's that they have the power. I can't wait until the day black people are able to fire people for saying things about us that we deem racist. We can barely get cops fired for actually killing us, he added. Charlemagne noted that, while Cannon was entitled to free speech, he was not free of the consequences of that speech. He said the actor could have benefited from having a Jewish scholar or rabbi present to correct any of his inaccurate remarks during the discussion. Diddy offered Cannon a spot at his Revolt TV network on Wednesday, inviting him to come home to a truly black-owned media company. He backed up Cannon's comments that white people of the past were savages and barbaric, said it would be inaccurate to say they did not have a history of mass racial violence in America. Racial violence has been a distinct part of this country since 1660, and that's a fact. I don't even have to begin to run down the long list of violent, murderous, savage acts from white people in this country, he said. Cannon's termination has sparked debate on social media, as some say he was rightfully dismissed after he claimed black people were the true Hebrews, and that Jews have usurped their identity. Despite the fallout, a number of celebrities have voiced their support for the TV producer on social media, including Diddy and former NBA star Dwyane Wade. Diddy, real name Sean Combs, offered Cannon a spot at his Revolt TV network on Wednesday, inviting him to come home to a truly black-owned media company. The only way we can change the narrative, educate, and uplift each other is if we do it together. Nick, my brother, I am here to support you fully in any way you need. See, what we are not going to do is turn our backs on our brothers and sisters when they challenge the system, Combs said in an Instagram post. Come home to @Revolt, which is truly black-owned. We got your back, and love you, and what you have done for the culture. Dwyane Wade also tweeted his support for Cannon, but later took down the post after he was criticized for backing his controversial remarks. We are with you, keep leading, he said in the now deleted tweet. The View host Sunny Hostin said she was shocked to see anti-Semitism in black people since Jewish people have been allies in their fight for civil rights. The controversy has sparked debate on social media, as some said Cannon was wrong for painting white people as subhuman. Wade was slammed for tweeting his support for the actor after critics said he was backing Cannon's offensive comments on white people and Jews. Cannon's comments drew criticism from The View host Sunny Hostin, who said she was shocked to see anti-Semitism in black people since Jewish people have been allies in their fight for civil rights. I'm always surprised when you hear, especially someone that's African American, spout anti-Semitism, because there is such a long history of Jewish people in the civil rights movement being such allies to African Americans, she said. I don't quite understand how someone who is a member of an oppressed group and would spout anything that would be anti-Semitic, or homophobic, or racist. It just doesn't connect with me, and I'm disappointed when I hear something like that from Nick Cannon. I think it's unacceptable. Cannon has since remained unapologetic towards ViacomCBS, issuing a follow-up statement in which he claimed the company was on the wrong side of history and wanted to make an example of an outspoken black man. He also demanded full ownership of his Wild 'N Out show, which he accused the media giant of swindling away from him, and claimed it had banned all advertisements supporting George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. ViacomCBS responded to the claims in a statement saying, "Due to the comedic nature of the show we believe is in question revenge prank, we didn't want to be insensitive by placing ads for it next to important and serious topics, such as Black Lives Matter. This is standard practice we use with our media agency to ensure that our ads don't come across as tone-deaf or disrespectful." In the June 30 episode, Cannon sat down with former Public Enemy member Professor Griff and claimed black people are the true Hebrews, and spoke out about the Rothschild family and the bloodlines that control everything even outside of America. Former Public Enemy member Professor Griffin was kicked out of the rap group in 1989 after saying Jews were wicked and were responsible for the majority of the wickedness in the world. Cannon came under fire over a June 30 episode of his talk show Cannon's Classes, in which he interviewed former Public Enemy member Professor Griff, real name Richard Griffin, who was kicked out of the rap group in 1989, for saying Jewish people were responsible for the majority of the wickedness in the world. During a discussion on racial bias, the Masked Singer host said black people were robbed of their birthright, and that they are the real children of Israel. He also delved deep into anti-Semitic tropes, ranting about history going as deep as the Rothschilds, centralized banking, the 13 families, the bloodlines that control everything even outside of America. The two discussed the controversial racial ideology of the Black Hebrew Israelites, claiming that Semitic people had nothing to do with being white, and that the term anti-Semitic is only used to divide people. You can't be anti-Semitic when we are the Semitic people. When we are the same people who they want to be. That's our birthright. We are the true Hebrews, Cannon said. During the Hour Plus podcast, Cannon then moved on to a wider discussion on race, saying white people of the past were savages and barbaric because they lacked the compassion that comes. Cannon, pictured with ex-wife Mariah Carey and their twins, Monroe and Moroccan in 2017, became chairman and creative consultant of Nickelodeon's Teen Channel in 2009, and I'm going to say this carefully, he said, before claiming that people who do not have melanin are a little lesses. They're acting out of fear, they're acting out of low self-esteem, they're acting out of a deficiency, he said. So, therefore, the only way that they can act is evil. They have to rob, steal, rape, kill in order to survive. They're the ones that are actually closer to animals, they're the ones that are actually the true savages, Cannon said, adding that he was referring to Jewish people, white people, Europeans among others. The controversial episode, which was reportedly filmed last year, aired 2 weeks ago but resurfaced over the weekend, drawing widespread backlash. On Tuesday, ViacomCBS announced it was cutting ties with Cannon for promoting hateful speech. ViacomCBS condemns bigotry of any kind, and we categorically denounce all forms of anti-Semitism, the company said in a statement. We have spoken with Nick Cannon about an episode of his podcast Cannon's Classes on YouTube, which promoted hateful speech and spread anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. While we support ongoing education and dialogue in the fight against bigotry, we are deeply troubled that Nick has failed to acknowledge or apologize for perpetuating anti-Semitism, and we are terminating our relationship with him. Cannon responded to his firing in a lengthy statement on Facebook, in which he said he did not condone hate speech, but refused to say he was sorry. He then doubled down on his stance on Wednesday in a follow-up statement titled Truth and Reconciliation, in which he accused ViacomCBS of trying to put a young Negro in his place, and has demanded ownership of his billion-dollar Wild 'N Out brand that he said was swindled away from him. If I have furthered the hate speech, I wholeheartedly apologize, Cannon said. But now I am the one making demands. I demand full ownership of my billion-dollar Wild 'N Out brand that I created, and they will continue to misuse and destroy it without my leadership. I demand that the hate and backdoor bullying cease, and while we are at it, now that the truth is out, I demand the apology. Cannon, who had been with the network for over 2 decades, said he was deeply saddened that the company misused an important teachable moment to instead make an example of an outspoken black man. I will not be bullied, silenced, or continuously oppressed by any organization, group, or corporation. I am disappointed that Viacom does not understand or respect the power of the black community, he added. Cannon accused ViacomCBS of being on the wrong side of history, and claimed it had banned advertisements that supported George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, in the wake of nationwide protests against racial injustice. Amid the fallout from his podcast, Cannon said he contacted Viacom boss Sherry Redstone, who is Jewish, to have a conversation of reconciliation, and to offer an apology, but claimed his efforts to make amends went ignored. Dead silence. So that's when I realized they don't want a conversation or growth. They wanted to put the young Negro in his place. They wanted to show me who is boss, hang me out to dry, and make an example of anyone who says something they don't agree with, he added. He also apologized to the Jewish community for putting them in such a painful position, which was never my intention, but I know this whole situation has hurt many people, and together we will make it right. Cannon has been part of the ViacomCBS network for over 2 decades, hosting The Masked Singer and Wild 'N Out on Fox. In a follow-up statement on Wednesday, Cannon demanded full ownership of his Wild 'N Out brand that he claimed was swindled away from him by the company.